very bright young lady, but here's a child who was raised a lot differently than some of these kids are. Charlotte Pence is, of course, the daughter of Vice President Mike Pence. And she is establishing a budding career out here in Hollywood in film production and literature. We talk about this in the interview. She joined me a few days ago to discuss her new children's book, which is called Marlon Bundo's Day in the Life of the Vice President. And it follows her pet rabbit, Marlon Bundo. And you ask yourself, why is he named Marlon Bundo? And that will all be revealed. The rabbit takes you through a day in the Vice President. It is actually kind of a nice little teaching tool for children. All of those children who are out, instead of being in school yesterday, could have read this book. It's all for a worthy cause, too. She's donating part of the proceeds to A21's fight to end human trafficking in the 21st century, an actual good cause. Here is Charlotte Pence discussing her new book. Charlotte, thank you for being here. It's nice to see you. It's nice to meet you. I've never met you before.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is awesome.
You are the author. You are now an author, I may say, of the book A Day in the Life of the Vice President with Marlon Bundo, the rabbit.
Yes.
Now, on the back, the rabbit is real.
Yes, he's a real rabbit.
An actual rabbit.
He's my rabbit. Yep.
You have this. You keep this rabbit.
Yes.
The rabbit's a good pet.
He is, yeah. I got him in college.
Okay.
He lives at the Naval Observatory now because, he has official duties as the BOTUS. But, he did. He lived with me in college.
The bunny in the, yeah.
He lived with me in college. I got him for a film project, and he lived with me for a couple of years, and it was great.
Wow.
Yeah.
Don't turn your back on them. They'll just tear you to pieces. All right. So you're writing a children's book about a day in the life of the Vice President, which you know about because you are the daughter of the Vice President.
Yes.
Which I have to say, I'm a big fan of your father's. I am. I call him. I've conflated his name into Mensch because I think he is one of the most solid people in the administration.
Oh.
I have never seen seriously a man attacked more for less. What is when that's your dad?
Yeah.
What is that like? What's it like to have a guy who's under fire like that?
I think about it in this way. I think that, when you're a public servant, it does come with the territory.
Right.
It never feels good to see someone you love be attacked, especially for things that aren't true about them, especially. But I think, my dad has this saying that he always says, and I've taken it to heart. He always says when we see protesters at events or protesters outside our house, sometimes he'll say, Charlotte, that's what freedom looks like. And so it is. And I think that that's part of taking criticism. And as a daughter, I might not like seeing somebody that I love be talked about in that way. But as an American, it makes me really proud because it means that we live in a country and a society where people can speak out against their elected leaders. And they're allowed to do so.
Wow, that's a dwindling perspective, but it is the right one. It's the only way you can be free if you're allowed for that.
Exactly.
But here's the thing that I always wonder about this because he is portrayed in such a hostile way. And obviously, the one that was the big one was on The View recently, where they said he was mentally ill because he talked to Jesus, like everybody else in America. When you're sitting there talking to the guy, he's your father, you know him pretty well.
Yeah.
Is he completely different than the pictures that you see, than the depiction you get of him in the press?
Oh, I don't know.
Just as a human being?
I think it's hard for me to know. Because I don't think I take anything in the press seriously that would portray him in such a negative light. I know he's, most open-minded, kindest, person. The best idea of a father, of a man, an example of a good person in my mind to me. So I feel like anything that depicts him otherwise, I almost don't even really pay attention to just because I know he's the best example of a father like I can even think of that you could even make up. He's just full of compassion and teachable moments all the time, and I love him. I look up to him. I respect him. We disagree on things sometimes too,
sure,
and
of course.
We have open debates all the time in our house and on the phone. And he's always been the most patient person to come to with questions, and he'll explain his side of the view. But then he'll also come back and say, what do you think about it? And he's,
Well,
eager to share
it's
opinions.
very nice to hear. This is why I never let my children get interviewed, because they wouldn't say any of these things.
I'm sure they would.
Now, obviously, you're raised in a religious family, and now you're working in Hollywood, which is the exact opposite. Now, how do you like the human sacrifices? No, you work. Where are you at UTA? Is that where you're at United Talents? Okay.
Yes.
So you're actually so you're working for a Hollywood agent, right?
Yep.
Which is the opposite of religion. How do you find working in Hollywood?
I honestly, it's been really great.
Really? Yeah.
Honestly, UTA especially has really been very welcoming to me.
That's great. Yeah.
And it's good. I mean, I think I tell conservatives all the time, come on in, the water's fine. I think that there's probably a perception Hollywood gives off a little bit of being pretty liberal.
I like the a little bit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, I've met a lot of liberals. I've met a lot of conservatives. I've made a lot of friends, and I think at the end of the day, when people meet you, you're just a person, and you are a person they like or they don't like. And I think that in a way, I've really been blessed to be able to come out here and be able to work in the industry I always wanted to work in, and be accepted. I think that I think Hollywood is a place that has lots of different viewpoints, and I think that those viewpoints are starting to be talked about more.
I think one of the things is, I think if you're at a talent agency where people have a business minds, you do meet more conservatives. I mean, I can talk to agents a lot of times more than I can talk to the talent, because the talent is so far on one side that it can be really difficult to deal with them. I mean, if you're looking for work as talent in Hollywood, it can be really tough to have openly conservative views. You were also working for Epiphany?
Yes, I worked for a company out near Boston, actually, like right outside of Boston.
Okay.
It was a film production company. Yeah, so I've had a couple different experiences there.
Yeah, no, Mike Flowers is a good guy. So you write a book. First of all, you write a children's book. What is the plan? Is the plan to go into the movies, or is the plan to be a writer, or both?
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
you're going to get me on tape.
Your father called and he was asking, no, what is she doing? No.
I've always been a writer since I was a little kid, storyteller. I was up at night telling my sister stories to help her sleep, and, just late into the night on car rides. I think I've always wanted to tell stories. And so in school, in college, I transitioned that into telling stories through filmmaking. I think that that'll always be part of something that I want to do, and also on the documentary side. But I've always been also a narrative writer too, and it's kind of where my passion lies.
Really? That's I'm so happy to hear that, because that's what I love. This is written in poetry.
It
The
is.
Day in the Life of the Vice President is written in poetry, which I was impressed by.
Thank you.
But that's not where you're going. You see yourself as a storyteller of one kind or another.
A storyteller in general, yeah, for sure. And I think I've also been interested so much in the middle grade and young adult and children literature side. So to write a children's book as my first book was just really special.
And do you want to continue doing that? Do you want to continue addressing kids?
Yeah, I think so. I think I could also see myself doing nonfiction writing and like narrative style for adults as well.
Okay.
So,
and now, A Day in the Life of the Vice President, did they ask you to do this, or did you just decide this?
No.
It was your idea, really?
Oh, yeah. We had an Instagram account for Marlon, and right after the inauguration, the day after, we were like, we have to get this handle of Marlon Bundo. So someone took it on Twitter. So we were like, we have to get the Instagram. And we did it, and he just got pretty popular on Instagram. And my mom and I had talked about we should write a book for him. And we were literally sitting on the couch one day in our house in the Naval Observatory and started brainstorming ideas. And I kind of said, well, what if he was on the campaign trail, or what if he did this? And my mom, I remember, pulled out her phone and started taking notes. We thought the first one really had to be about the vice presidency, to kind of introduce him to the world, especially.
Well, this is only the first Marlon Bundo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so I think my mom, also being an illustrator, and she illustrated the book, was able to tell me, I know I can paint this scene, so let's do a scene, a stanza of that. And so we really worked on it together. Yeah.
She's really good. I mean,
She's really good.
I should have mentioned that your mother illustrated the book, and the
She's
illustrations are
amazing.
really nice. I mean, really different. Has she always done that?
Yeah. She's been a watercolor artist my whole life. She had a business for it for a while, and she was an art teacher. She's just very, very talented.
Now, I notice, I don't want to get too political on you, but I noticed the book is published by Regnery, which is a famous conservative publisher, and I think they do great work.
They're amazing.
The world of children's publishing is another world that has been very insular for a very long time.
Yeah.
Do you think that that's going to be a problem for you in the future? Do you think that it's going to be tough for you to speak to children get through that wall?
I would hope not.
Yeah.
I would hope not, because I think that, especially with this book too, I think it can be a place where we come together. And I think that, I think it should be. I think that you don't have to have something that's overtly political in a book, or overtly not political in a book, for children to pick up on it and to learn something from it. So I would hope that it wouldn't be, but I think that we're moving in a direction where it won't be.
Yeah, it's not a political book. It's really just about the job of being the vice president. Yeah, and so what else is Marlon Bundo going to do?
I don't know. We're excited. We're seeing, I don't know about other adventures he might be going on in the future, but for the main part right now, he's out there.
I cannot believe it. Is this rabbit allowed in the White House?
He's been in the White House.
The rabbit has been in the White House.
Yes. He went to a military family event.
Did he really?
Yeah, my mom brought him, and kids just loved him. They absolutely love him. He's really nice too. Not all rabbits are really nice, but I can brag on him and talk about how he's very friendly and very calm.
And why is he named after Marlon Brando?
He is, yes.
How do you get from Marlon Brando to Marlon Bundo?
So, actually, it's a funny story. When I got him for a student film project, my friends and I were looking for a rabbit, and it was a script that I had written.
Yeah.
And there was a rabbit in it. People said, change it, take the rabbit out. And I was like, no, it really needs to have the rabbit. And so we ended up going on Craigslist, and the Craigslist owner said, make me an offer. And so it became this Godfather joke that we had to make him an offer he couldn't refuse.
Couldn't refuse, right, yeah.
And so my friend who loves Marlon Brando said we have to name Marlon Brando, and I said we have to name him Marlon Bundo.
Okay.
That's a true story.
Who knew? The true story of Marlon Bundo, A Day in the Life of the President, by Charlotte Pence, and illustrated by Karen Pence,
yes,
who looks exactly like you for some reason.
Yes.
You're probably related.
Yes, I am very happy about that.
Yes, I don't blame you. That's a good thing. Thank you very much for coming on, Charlotte. Good luck with the book. I hope it does really well.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was nice talking to you. Wow, what a well-raised young person, and a fan of Another Kingdom. The most important thing that I have to relate. She's a fan of Another Kingdom.